Good evening and welcome to a very special episode of Moen After Dark. We don't normally do these during the week. We usually reserve these for Sunday, but big news today. Want to get your guys' opinion, get your questions, get your comments read. This is your show, as always. It's a fan-driven show. Before we get started, let's talk about a little business here. If you'd like to become a member of the College Football Mafia or leave a super chat or gift a membership, you can do so by selecting the cash icon below. Membership benefits include custom emojis, access to our Wild Ute University collection. We've got lots of great videos in our members only section. You'll have access to members only polls in the community section as well. So if you're interested in doing that, by all means, click the cash button and we can go from there. But let's go ahead and say hello to some people here. I see people already filtering in. By the way, Nate is here too, if you didn't figure that out already.
I'm here. Hi, everybody. I'm doing the background stuff. It's Moen's show tonight, so
That's
I can
right.
screw around.
Moen's got the wheel, which could
That's
be
right.
dangerous.
Yes, yes.
Joaquin Morales is in the house. Good to see you, Joaquin. He says something very important. Don't forget to smash that like button. It's free. Let's go. Thank you, Joaquin. That's very important to remember, guys. If you could smash that like button, leave a comment if you're watching on demand. Those things help us in the YouTube algorithm. The scientists somewhere in California determine it. So, but please, by all means, do that. Expedition Greg's in the house, a fellow Buckeye. Good to see you, Greg. Buckshot Kid. Slow on the draw today, Buckshot Kid. I got you.
Well, we're a little later, so some of these people coming in, they're like, "Hey, wait a second."
Oh no, he usually posts that right after I put the show up. So
yeah, very good.
Chad Bracey is in the house. Good to see you, Chad.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What do we got here?
We got a new member, Marcus Williams.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go is right.
Thank you, Marcus. Welcome to the College Football Mafia family. I'm still not going to say the GB word. Here, Bomber, you can say it. You go ahead and say that, Bomber.
What is it? Go Blue?
Okay.
All right.
Chad Bracey's in the house. Timothy Green, Lord have mercy. Look at the money piled up in front of those two characters. Great thumbnail. I think it was some of AI's best work.
Tell you what, it's been a crazy day with everybody in the news. And if everybody caught peek around the corner, we're going to be talking about that news here tonight. And I hope everybody's loaded with good questions. It's a big Q&A night. So help us join the show and get involved.
Absolutely right. And this is a fan-driven show. We want to get your guys' feedback, your comments. We know, huge day. If you didn't catch Greg's show, let me give you a spoiler alert. Clemson, Florida State, Big Ten. That is what the chalk is.
Yep.
They're going to be available, and the Big Ten is looking to pounce on them. They're going to enter aggressive negotiations. So, if you didn't hear it there first, Brett McMurphy reported it on Paul Feinbaum's show yesterday. He was on 365 Sports a little earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat as well. That way. After our show, if you want to go watch those guys at 365 Sports, they do an awesome job. Brett was on there earlier today. He was also reiterating what he said, that the SEC did not have any interest in Florida State or Clemson. And
we've been saying that, right? Yeah. We've been saying that for months and months and months. That's not news for anybody who's been part of the College Football Mafia family. We're talking literally a year we've been talking about these schools, and they were never going to go to the SEC. I don't even know why that was even a storyline.
Well, I think Clemson to the SEC made sense.
Yeah, I still don't see it.
Why settle for less if you can get rich quick?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, and they need a travel partner. Right?
Yeah, they need a travel partner. Yeah. And if Miami can't jump into the pot, hey, guess what? I got my shirt on. I got my old man hat on. I'm ready to go to South Carolina and Florida.
Well, snooze, you lose is what this is saying, basically. Miami now is on the clock. They might be able to beat Clemson to the gate. It's quite possible they could get there, but they're going to have to make up some ground. Clemson's already done the lawsuit. They've already started negotiations with the conference. Miami's still waiting in the wings, just like North Carolina is waiting in the wings. And right now it's Clemson and Florida State that are basically the Colorado of the Pac-12, and that's where they're at this point.
Yeah, and Brett, if you go back and watch that interview that I posted, Brett basically says in there they're gone. There's no stepping back from the edge. The ACC is going to stall as much as they possibly can. Stalling is winning, but there's no keeping them. At some point, a judge is going to order this to mediation, and they're going to have to come up with a number, and those two schools are out. It's just a matter, not if, but when. So.
Okay, and I'm gonna get this right now. Tony Lawson says it was him or Wild Ute. That's not true. It was Wild Ute and I said that at the very beginning. You just came in the next day, Tony. Come on, don't cut me out of the loop here. Gosh, what were we talking about? You know what I said specifically, and I'll quote myself. There's no way if Clemson doesn't get into the Big Ten, they're not going to the SEC. They would get left out. And I got booed and heckled all up and down the line by people saying, no way do they not go to the SEC if the Big Ten doesn't pick them up. And that's where they're at. I think Miami is in the same boat. I think there's a good chance whichever one of them gets in, the other one has a chance to follow the Big 12. I think that's I think that could really happen. So I'm just teasing you, Tony, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, I had Clemson to the SEC.
You did, and you disagreed with us, and that's okay, right? That's what we do here.
I was wrong.
Well, you're not wrong yet. You're not wrong yet.
Not wrong yet. Let's see if it gets proven out here.
Absolutely.
You're
exactly right.
Say hello to some more people here. Daniel Gygax is in the chat. Illini Ted, I had to remind him it was World Otter Day today.
That's fantastic.
Congo. Antoine Codes, a member, is here. Thank you, Antoine. Adam Anteberos. Tony Lawson, which we already brought up. Mary Crocker Rose in the chat. Go Knowles. Good to see you again, Mary. Our buddy Marcus Williams is here, Michigan fan, but we don't hold that against him.
Yeah, that's okay.
Love Sports is in the house. I don't think I've seen you around here before, Love Sports. Thanks for coming in. Old Dad is in the house. Jose is in the house. Sooner in Texas is here. Shonsky's here. We don't hold that against Shonsky either.
Hey, can we talk BYU for just 1 second? I know this is your show, it's Big Ten and all that stuff, but BYU right now is the top 5 of recruiting classes for the basketball season this coming up year. They just lost out on a 5-star because he couldn't meet the admission requirements. BYU basketball is blowing up. They paid $5 million for their new coach. They're paying money left and right in NIL for basketball players. It's a different world. That ruling last week that I was really scared, that Ute was really scared that maybe Utah and BYU were going to be sitting on their hands with money. Turns out BYU's just been waiting for an excuse to pay money legally. They were always afraid that if they put money in, they might get caught, like some of these schools did before. Now that everything's legislated through, money's coming in from everywhere. And so BYU basketball is blowing up right now, but football's coming. I'm hearing some good
BYU
things.
Is a basketball school now. Everybody knows that. All right, let's get to some comments here. We got some started up and ready to go. Just so you guys know, we always defer to member comments. Super chats all get read, and then we'll try to get to any other comments beyond that. So let's start out here with Jay Chapman, a member. If the SEC can get North Carolina and Virginia, I'm happy. And he's the SEC guy, so congratulations. Yep. You're probably going to get North Carolina and Virginia.
Absolutely.
You're just going to have to wait a little bit.
Yep.
Jose says Petiti may utilize his Italian mafia connections to get things done. Not every Italian is in the mafia, Jose. We know you're just kidding. Marcus Williams, this has been an awesome day for the big. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear from Big Ten folks, especially. What do you think of this? Clemson and Florida State, potentially the chalk being that they're moving into the Big Ten Conference. That'll put us at 20 teams, get us a foothold in the South. What do you think of the potential rivalries? I know Ohio State's going to have a hell of a rivalry with Clemson.
You know what? You look at the conferences as they're constituted right now. I don't know how the SEC can continue to claim being the number one football conference with both Florida State and Clemson go to the Big Ten, Oregon, Washington, USC all going to the Big Ten. Right now, if I had to bet on a conference year in, year out, I'm going to bet on the Big Ten. They have more schools that are higher quality than the SEC does, and we should do that in these coming weeks, Moen. We should do a side by side comparison and actually see how deep these two conferences go. And right now, I think the Big Ten's leading that pack.
Yeah, I would say let's hold off on crowning the Big Ten just yet. But point taken, yes, the Big Ten has done very, very well for itself in expansion and improving its football footprint. We got a super chat here from Marcus Williams. Thank you, Marcus. Now that Florida State and Clemson to big, who is next? Notre Dame +1. Well, you know Notre Dame will always have a seat at the table, sir. It's just I wonder who that +1 is going to be. Is it going to be Miami? Is it going to be Stanford? Who are they bringing along with them? Because they will get to call their shot. I'm afraid. So, thank you for the super chat, Marcus. It is much appreciated. What do you think about that, Bomber? Who do you think Notre Dame +1 is 21 and 22, or somebody
I don't
else?
think there is I think it's Notre Dame and that's it.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's just a blackjack conference.
It is
21.
Yep.
Okay.
And they've already the math rolls out where there's 3 divisions of 7 teams, and they've got tiebreakers that can go into that. So a computer's already put those into the play. But I don't think I think Notre Dame comes in and they shut the door.
What 3 teams from the Big Ten do you think go out west?
What do you mean go out west?
Well, you'd have 3 divisions.
Oh, you're talking about for division, so you'd have 4, and then you'd have Nebraska, you'd have probably Iowa, and who would be the 7th? Well, it could be Minnesota.
Or it could be Wisconsin.
Yeah, either way. But that's where I would draw it, is right there down through that Mississippi Valley, draw it straight down.
All right, Iowa, you're going to be playing a lot of West Coast teams, according to Nate. So
I think that could work for them. I mean, it puts them in a position where they don't have to go and have a puncher's chance against Ohio State and Michigan anymore. They're in a conference where these schools that are coming in are, known to be maybe a little softer. And so I don't think Iowa, they just need to find an offense. I don't know what's going on there, but with NIL money, Iowa boosters need to put some money into their offensive schemes. I don't know how else to say that. We'd have to talk to Immaculate about what they're doing in that regard. But
yeah,
they just need some offense help. In my opinion, they need to get rid of their coach. They need to clean house and start over. But
I tend to agree with you, but they never will.
I know.
Thank you again for the super chat, Marcus. It's much
Absolutely. Thank you, Marcus. Great to see you here.
Fatal Jedi. I love that name. Miami being a private school and having money that appears to disappear just as quickly. We'll just wait for the fallout. Well, they might wait for the fallout, but the early bird gets the worm. And in this case, Clemson and Florida State are the early birds. Jay Chapman. Glad I didn't buy helmets in advance.
I thought that was funny.
There you go.
I think that's fantastic.
Shonsky, yeah, I was ordered mediation by a judge too. My wife still ended up with more than half my stuff. They're going to pay it out, and it's going to be big. Nobody's saying they're not going to pay. They're going to pay, but they're willing to pay.
Yes.
So if you're willing to, cut the check, money talks, something else walks.
Look at this one right here.
Notre Dame and $1 Stanford. Pay Stanford $1.
Illini Ted's got it down. He knows exactly what's up. So I would bow to Illini Ted's thinking here. It's true, Stanford is hanging out there sort of as an extra, flipping around like a dead, a dying fish. I could see Notre Dame and Stanford. If there was any +1, it would be Stanford. It's not going to be a Utah. It's not going to be a Pitt. It's not going to be even West Virginia. Nobody else, or Texas A&M. But even Texas A&M, I think, is a stretch.
You don't think they might get somebody else from the Southeast?
No, I don't. No,
Okay.
I think Florida gives them where they want to be. I know you think Texas. I know you think Texas.
Texas A&M. Yeah.
But I just don't know that they want to go. If it wasn't Notre Dame, they wouldn't go to 21. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, they wouldn't go to 21 you'd have to be a very special school.
Right. Or Stanford for free.
Stanford for $1.
Yeah.
Pay them $1.
$1.
That now brings up. This is from Daniel Gygax, West Virginia guy. That now brings up the question of when they can get out, and the ACC might keep it in court until SCOTUS hears it. Once FSU Clemson leaves, the ACC is done. It's looking that way. Brett McMurphy said in that interview earlier today that it was looking more and more like it might be a conga line out the door at the ACC.
It may be.
So the ACC may not be long for this world.
Can I just buddy onto that before we move off the Brett McMurphy reporting? What stood out to me about that, and he did interviews yesterday on Paul Feinbaum. He was on 365 today. Obviously, his work was covered by Greg at Peek Around the Corner today. So Brett McMurphy's winning awards all over the place. But the one thing that stood out to me in that is that the ACC says they're going to hang on and fight the lawsuit to the bitter end. And I just shake my head and I go, is that really news? That's not news to us. Of course they're going to fight it, because once those schools are gone, I don't care what the amount is, the conference is DOA, because North Carolina is going to find a way out. And when North Carolina leaves, you're looking at a basketball conference only. So that's what I think where we're
at. Next AI thumbnail will be a conga line out the ACC door.
That's good.
All the mascots doing a conga.
That's really good.
Noel Blooded. Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you around here before. Good evening, guys.
I have. Let's see.
Big Bound.
Oh, no, I haven't. Noel Blooded. No, he's new. Good to see you, Noel Blooded.
He is. He seems to be excited by the chance to move to the Big Ten.
Good. He should
Just
be.
Don't snap us out of existence there, pal. Woody Hayes, Expedition Greg. Woody Hayes' final game versus Clemson. It was his infamous punch on a Clemson player in Gator Bowl that got him fired. It was. But unlike other schools, when our coach punches someone, we fire him.
Yeah. Whoa, Kerry-Go Knowles coming off the top rope.
Booyah. Kerry-Go Knowles with a $10 super chat. Clemson or Miami will be Florida State's big rivalry game. That'll be one of them.
Let's do a poll right now.
Well, let's let him cook first.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
All right,
Thank you so much, Gary. Now, what poll do you want to do here?
Clemson versus Miami. Which is the one that's going to the Big Ten with Florida State? Have our people watching us, 100 people watching us live. Let's get everybody to vote on this thing. While you're there, give us a thumbs up, by the way, if you haven't already. But you guys vote. Who do you think is going to get the A train with Florida State? Who's going to really actually make it to the post?
Well, let's just be clear. Who's going to make it here first?
Okay, you can say first if you want to.
Miami could be bound after the fact. I could see them as a +1 with
maybe. Oh, Catholics with Notre Dame?
Catholics versus convicts.
Yeah, they could be a throw-in with Notre Dame too. I just don't think they need that extra. They can always get Miami, is my point. There's no reason to rush to get them now. This is the thing that we haven't talked about enough, and we need to come back to it. Realignment is never ending, right? We're going to get through this phase. Everything's going to lock down, and then something I guarantee in 4 or 5 years breaks loose, and this happens again. And when it happens again, who knows where everybody goes at that point? Maybe it is a super league, or maybe it's these different options that are out there. But there's nothing to say realignment has to be done tomorrow, right? So there's no
no.
rush to get Miami in the Big Ten at this point because they can get Miami in the Big Ten whenever they want to. And this whole idea of getting a school for defensive reasons, I've thought that narrative was ridiculous. And I know that I mean, you've said stuff about Clemson going to the SEC, and to me it seems crazy. Like why is the SEC wanting to bring more schools in? The defensive move makes no sense to me.
I don't see it as a defensive move as much as a brand move for Clemson. I think Clemson's got a big enough brand where it oversteps the need for the market.
But when was the last time an SEC conference paid for a brand? I guess you could say Texas and Oklahoma.
Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah, but they did lose some brands too.
Texas
they lost
A&M.
Yeah. So it's not like it's an all or nothing type thing. All I'm saying is just because we might end up where Florida State and or Clemson and Miami go out, that doesn't mean realignment stopped. Next year, we think this could come around again. Another Brett McMurphy report could break saying, oh, now Notre Dame's chosen to move. And because Notre Dame's moving, they have to have a travel partner. There's your next peaceful realignment. But everybody just needs to buckle up and just get used to the anxiety of not knowing what's going to be one thing from one day to the next.
Yeah, the realignment never sleeps, and doing research for my timeline series on here, I can tell you conference realignment is not anything new, guys.
Yeah.
It's been going on since the invention of athletic conferences.
Absolutely.
So I know people view it as a modern problem, but trust me, it's taken lots and lots of realignment to get to where we are. So, but thank you again for that super chat, Gary. Much appreciated, sir.
Lots of voting, it looks like. Got a lot of people putting their 2 bits in. That's really good.
We have 44 votes so far. Clemson is running away with it here, guys. We'll leave it up a little longer, but I think Clemson is going to be the first one.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're running about 84% to 16% right
wow. Now. Okay. All right. Either we are very good at convincing people what we think, or what we're saying makes a lot of sense.
Or you got people with track records like Brett McMurphy and Greg Flugar, and it's, when they got more W's than L's, it's pretty easy to jump on that. So
makes it smart. Another thing I want to be clear about, when we've talked about these things in the past, we haven't had the reporting to back up our ideas, but we have had our analysis and all of our experience. So just because we came up with an idea that wasn't backed up by a report from an ESPN or a Action Sports doesn't mean it doesn't devalue our opinions and the things that we've said. We just didn't have an official report to lean on to say, see, here it is. In fact, in a lot of ways, we're operating without there's nothing beneath us. There's no net between our guesses and the floor. So any wrong moves we make here live on YouTube, people will call us back on.
Yeah, and
now I haven't had one yet, so maybe it'll happen. Maybe.
But by the way, since you mentioned it, if you guys are interested, the Wild Ute University on how does Florida State fit in the Big Ten and how does Clemson fit in the Big Ten, those are publicly available.
Yep.
Those are not behind the paywall. So
they are not.
After the show tonight, if you have not had a chance to view them, please go view them.
Let me post the link to this section. Give me a second, Moen. I'll put that in, and everybody can jump there after the show. Keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to slow you down.
Okay. We got a couple super chats here. We'll get to these. Kerry Go Knowles, hey guys, you can now use iPhone to send super chats. Whiskey drink.
Oh, that's good. You couldn't use it. That's new. That's been blocked. Glad that works. Tip one back, everybody. It's legal. It's all right. I just posted the link to the College Football Mafia main page that has the short videos on it. Go through there. Any that you can see are available, and take your time because there's hundreds of hours now.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for that super chat, Kerry. And now, Crab Cakes and Football. Good to see you, Maryland Terrapin fan.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Crab Cakes.
Clemson is Oregon in the East. Yes,
that's true.
That's often how I've put them out there as well. They don't have quite quite the huge research. I mean, they've got more research in Oregon, but that's not saying much. Pretty much everybody's got more research in Oregon right now.
Well, didn't we say we always said Clemson and Miami is also a brand pick?
Yeah, brand fit.
Brand pick, right?
Definitely
That's
a brand fit.
You're buying the logo essentially. Lots of
All right.
money.
I'm going to end the poll at 50 votes. Clemson won that hands down.
Okay.
It wasn't
right.
even close.
So we'll have to remember that. Let you know, so it's not something that we have to ask a question again. By the way, Crab Cakes, it's good to see you here. We appreciate you coming over. We know we've seen you on Peek Around the Corner, and you've done a phenomenal job diving into his show. I'm not sure how late Moen wants to go tonight, but we could even do some live calls too, Moen, if you wanted to.
Yeah, if people want to join, well, let's get through some of these comments first.
Oh, sure, whatever.
Nate, that Smith money has helped BYU a lot.
It has. It'll continue to help too, by the way. It's not a one and done.
Not a one and done. Bobby Hurley says thank you.
He does. Do you know what that means? So we had a 5-star that was coming. He was transferring somewhere back east. He was next. We were going to go from the number 1 rated international player that's a 5-star signed yesterday. We were going to back that up with the domestic number 1 player that was still available. Went to sign in and he couldn't pass admissions. So where did he go? The place that does have admissions that are really low, it's Arizona State. So Arizona State brought him in at a lesser standard. That's all I got to say. Those are facts.
Arizona State's AAU, by the way. So
great. I'm telling you right now, BYU has extremely high entrance. You have to be like a 30 or a 31 on the ACT to even get your get your application read. It's extremely high.
Illini Ted, I'm torn on this. Clemson wasn't high on my wish list to join FSU, but I get it since they are probably the only one that can be available with FSU. Yes.
Miami could be available if they wanted to. They just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, they haven't gone that route yet. So, and public institutions, Florida State and Clemson are relying heavily on the fact that the public institutions in their legal arguments.
Right. That's true. Yep.
Realignment report reminds me of when Pitt and Syracuse going to ACC from Big East.
Yes. That's a good one. That's a good historical.
Syracuse drinking game in effect. That's an organic Syracuse.
Yeah, I guess we can put that one out there so everybody knows the drinking game. It's pretty simple. If you hear Georgia Tech, if you hear Syracuse, in organic speak, go ahead and tip one back. With a drinking game, just make sure you don't drink and drive.
Tony Lawson reminds you Big Ten will never break up Minnesota and Wisconsin. Most played game in the P4.
Okay. Yeah, I have no opinion on that. It doesn't.
Well, we were talking about which teams would go west.
Yeah, we were.
I always think I would put Northwestern in the Western bracket just because they're so close to Chicago and it makes travel easy. So
that's true. Travel's much easier out of O'Hare. That's true. Another one that we haven't spoken about. Sorry, I grabbed this on Kansas. I was just going to say Kansas is another move that could happen. Sorry, Moen,
Kansas could happen. That's still out there. That's a new market for the SEC. So that very well could happen. I like Kansas in a 2014 Big Ten.
Yeah, I do too. Or the SEC, frankly. I could see them there too.
New rivalries: FSU versus Penn State. Yes, please. FSU versus Ohio State. Yes, please.
They used to play all the time when they were independents.
Clemson versus Ohio State. Yes, please. Clemson versus Ohio State is going to definitely be a rivalry game. We've got some recent history in playoffs, bowl games. That'll definitely be a rivalry game. FSU versus USC. I mean, we have so many possibilities. You're right, Marcus, and that's what the Big Ten is trying to do. They're trying to make a national college football brand. And adding schools in the Southeast, adding huge brands like Florida State and Clemson are only going to help them accomplish that task. Cougar Tracks is mad we started without him. I'm sorry, Cougar Tracks.
Cougar Tracks, we're doing good here in Provo land. You got to be happy. BYU's looking up.
Chad Bracey with the long yo.
Yo.
Glenn Lumen, another member, longtime member, checking in from the Philippines. Good to see you, Glenn.
Good to see you, Glenn. Thanks for being here. It's morning now where you're at, so we're glad you woke up to the sun with us.
Clemson, without a doubt, will go to the Big Ten West. Florida State, in my opinion. Okay. Could be. Alums in Atlanta would like being able to catch games in Tallahassee and Clemson both a couple hours away. You're right. There's huge alumni markets down there in the South where, that's the thing. These kids graduate from Big Ten schools and then they leave the state. So, Kerry Go Knowles with another super chat.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you.
Hey, Moen, to have FSU as a rival, you got to at least win one game. Hashtag let him cook.
That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
Boy, somebody committed an act of violence right there.
I love that.
I will say in our defense, John Cooper.
He just could not win the big one.
He could not.
He could not win the big
hell
one.
of a recruiter, could not win a big game.
Seemed like a nice guy, too. From far away, seemed like a nice guy.
Couldn't be too nice. He couldn't beat Michigan.
Too nice does not beat Michigan.
Lee Smith, good to see you, Lee. FSU playing the Big Ten will have more of the independent days under Bowden, late 70s to 91.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan Willie checks in with a super chat.
Yeah. Ryan Willie, the friendly Badger. I will not refer to him as an evil Badger. When will the networks announce game times for week 1? I don't think Bucky will play on Friday week 1. Will the Big Ten go to 10 games? If they go to 20 teams, they have to go to 10 conference games. They have to.
They know they're missing out on money right now, though.
Yeah.
If they added one more, they wanted a better chance to win the national championship by having one easier game, but they want more money. They're going to play that 9th and eventually 10th game.
Yeah, as for the TV times, I think once we get closer to Big Ten media days, we're going to see more TV times released. So, although we did get the Friday games, it leaked. I think it leaked, and that's what caused that to be released. But thank you for the super chat, Ryan. It's much appreciated, and you're absolutely right. If you go to 20 teams, you got to go to 10 conference games.
Yeah,
got to. DP, a Clemson guy. The Clemson video was very good. Watched it a bit ago. Yes, Hugh puts in an incredible amount of research into his work, guys.
It's a team effort too.
Yes.
All three of us really spend time making sure that we're not missing anything. We do study.
We try to we tweak that algorithm that we use in the statistics. Every time we can tweak it to try and fine tune it more and more. We do that. So, by all means, we suggest you become a member and watch Wild Ute University, because there's several that we've got behind the in the members only section that mostly relate to the Big 12. So if you're a Big 12 fan, you definitely want to check it out.
Let's get this one in. No Blooded is leaving, so I want to make sure we cover him.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Noel. By all means, listen to us tomorrow. And just leave us a comment. If you hear anything you don't like, you want to violently disagree with us on, leave us a comment. We always check the comment section, guys.
Always. Yep.
Tony Losham, big media partners want the bets matchups as often as they can get them. Seems unlikely divisions will be coming back. Could be, but you can have cross-division rivalries too, Tony.
Well, and let's not think about, everybody imagines the old divisions where they were stratified. You only paid one on one and all this cross-section scheduling and all this other stuff. You can still do divisions. They don't have to be some strict, you don't even have to play every team in a division. But from a segmented perspective, it just helps break these larger conferences into pieces. But they can get all kinds of creative with the scheduling. Don't let the idea of just being in stratified divisions sort of tie you down. I think Brett Yormark has told everybody, and everything is up in the air for scheduling and everything else. Just make it work. We want what's best for people to watch, and that's what you're going to see.
Daniel Gygax, academics in college athletics. Ohio State player Cardale Jones did say, "We ain't come to play school," and then Cardale Jones earned his degree. He came back.
Did
and
he
earned
graduate?
He came back and earned his degree.
I did not know that. I did not know that. I was going to make a
He put it on
derisive comment.
on his board when he graduated.
Okay.
Came to play school. So.
All right. I take back my feeling then, because I was going to make a joke. So.
Replica, why isn't Miami trying to make themselves available? I understand they're a private school, but they should be taking their destiny into their own hands.
Yep.
That's a great question for Miami.
Yeah, we agree with you.
We agree with you 100%. But
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is a lot of these legal arguments that Florida State and Clemson have presented, they're presenting them because they're public institutions.
Yeah.
Sovereign immunity, for example.
Yep.
Miami really can't do that. And Miami doesn't have the ability to pressure Florida into using the Sunshine Laws to get the ESPN contract revealed.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Another super chat from our buddy Marcus Williams. If Big goes to 10 games, who will Notre Dame schedule?
Big 10 schools.
Well, they already ducked
the ACC.
They've already tried to duck Big 10 schools at every chance. They don't want to play their rivalry with Michigan. They don't want to play their rivalry with Michigan State. The one they do want to play all the time is Purdue. They don't want to play any of the big rivalries, but yeah, USC is going to have to make a choice, and Notre Dame's going to have to make a choice when we go to 10 conference games. Does USC want to keep Notre Dame on their schedule, or do they want to put a new rivalry against a Clemson, a Florida State? Lots of different options out there, but Notre Dame's going to have to either get on the train or get off the tracks. Sooner in Texas says Kansas to the SEC is the same misdirection as Utah to ACC.
Go ahead, Moen, you answer that first.
I think that there is chance for Kansas to go to the SEC. It adds a new market.
The Utah thing was total BS.
Yeah.
Kansas thing is real. It could happen. It's not going to happen today, but I think eventually Kansas ends up in one of the two leagues. I do.
Right.
Unless the Big 12, maybe the Big 12, we ought to reimagine that a little bit, Moen. So let's project, and we're now looking at a P3. The ACC is a basketball conference. The Big 12 scooped up the remainder of the best football schools, and there are three conferences that are roughly 20 teams. At that point, is there really a reason to break anybody up? I'm not sure there is. What's the purpose of creating a super league with only two when you basically have all consolidated already in three?
Right. I don't believe in Super League.
Yeah, I know.
I refuse to believe in Super League. So
that's why I think the P3 is a real thing.
Right, but I do see the Big 10 will absolutely get to 24 before it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's the number. I'm not sure. Maybe. It's possible, yep.
Larry M., good to see you, Larry. Haven't seen you in a while. FSU and Clemson equals football ads. Good moves. Number 21 through 24 should be basketball and academic ads.
Why? It's an athletic conference. Why?
Boy, he's saying basketball.
Basketball, but he also said athletic. He also said education. I don't know.
Academics. Well, it's still an academic conference as well.
Yeah, but that's not, you're not recruiting because of that. It's an athletic association.
No, but you recruit Olympic athletes and other athletes through your academic programs. So
okay, I guess, yeah, I'm not excluding that. I'm just saying in all the things you match up for realignment, the academics thing is the bottom rung.
I mean, if we're going for basketball ads and you want academics, you got to add Duke out of North Carolina.
Right.
Academic and basketball. Boom.
We'll have to see.
Stanford would be your academic out west, but they have to bring Notre Dame, and you only pay Stanford $1.
Another dollar. People get rich on a dollar.
You make them crawl over to get the dollar.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Dan Halstead. Big 10 heading to 4 6-team divisions. East will be Penn State, Rutgers, Maryland, Florida State, Clemson, and either Miami or Georgia Tech.
Nah, too big.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Nate's a firm believer in not going to 24. I'm a firm believer in 24.
Yeah.
Call me Jack Bauer. I want to see 24.
You want to see 24 over and over again? Yeah, okay.
Our buddy Dan Miter remembers here. Hello, everyone. Just curious
Hey,
what
Dan.
the distance from Clemson to Ohio State. Probably about. Well, see, here in Ohio, here's the thing you got to remember. In Ohio, we don't use miles. We use how long it takes you to get there. So I'd say it's probably about a 12-hour drive. Yeah, about 12 hours, I'd say, to get to South Carolina from here. From Columbus. What that is in miles, I couldn't tell you. David Kreitzer, good to see you, David. The already overpowered big bringing in Florida State and Clemson is incredible. Larry M, I agree with you. I really didn't have any comment on that. Did you? I mean, it is pretty incredible if they managed to pull this coup off and add Florida State, Clemson, USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon as their expansion. Copy me, Nate?
No, what did you say? I apologize. I'm answering a tweet. What'd you say?
He's answering a tweet.
Well, you're driving. This is your show. I can take every conversation off.
Okay. I just
What was
he was saying
question?
it would be pretty incredible for them to land Florida State and Clemson with the expansion they've already had.
Oh, the Big Ten is by far and away the winner of realignment. There's no other way to put it. They've gotten richer, they've gotten smarter, and they're gaining into better areas to recruit. California, Florida. The only thing they're missing is something in Texas. And Moen may be right. That may be Texas A&M. But every other piece on the board, they're playing like 6D chess. The SEC is way behind, in my opinion. And I'm not sure they're going to shake their doldrums to get out of their old ways of doing things. To add schools that don't fit their profile, which means every school, because no other school fits the SEC profile. So Big Ten by far is the big winner from realignment.
Larry M says we don't play out west for some reason. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Iowa.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to play out west. Everything's everything's later. Your schedules are all screwed up. It's harder.
April Holly, good to see you, April. So stoked that FSU absolutely 100% isn't going to the SC. The Big Ten me all day.
I can see that. Yeah.
That was legitness. Yeah, it was. Huh?
Thank you so much for the comment, April. We'll welcome you with open arms into the Big Ten. We want them Big Ten Network subscribers. We want to see these Florida State Classic games. We want to see the Florida State Heisman Trophy winners. We want all that. So, Mosito X, Moen show on Wednesday, 30 minutes behind, but in. It's my Rutgers buddy. And I tell people all off season, don't sleep on Rutgers.
So our weeks are set up, everything's scheduled except for Wednesday nights, really our wild card night. Consigliere show. We've had Moen After Dark. We've had Big 12 Mafia. We've had College Football Mafia. We've had all kinds of different shows on Wednesday. So welcome to the game. That's what I would say.
Yep. Kerry Gonals with another super chat.
Yay, Kerry.
SMU would have thrived in the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Can we just put the SMU talk away, please? I feel like I'm punching a baby seal every time I hear about SMU. I'm starting to feel bad, which is incredibly crazy because I've got trauma from SMU in the 80s. So, yeah,
SMU will just have to wipe away those tears with their bundles of money.
What money? You talking about pesos? What bundles of money are they getting?
Well, it doesn't matter. They've got plenty of money from their donors.
Okay, but yeah, I guess.
I mean,
well, I was going to say, where does the money that they're earning come from? But then I dropped the earning. So,
as far as SMU in the Big Ten, I would have to say,
oh, hell no.
Thank you again for the super chat, Gary. Much appreciated, sir.
It's Thunderdome around here.
Will the Big have to add another media package if Florida State and Clemson are added due to the additional games? Or will Fox cover it? Great point. Will Fox cover the freight for them, and will they include a little something extra to make some of the smaller schools that will be playing a little more on FS1 happy with that situation.
Oh, I don't think they care.
I think for Amazon, Friday night games on Amazon would be perfect. I know
I'm
we've got.
surprised your Mark didn't go out and already get that in the bag myself.
Yeah, I know they've done Friday night games on Fox, but I think if they did it on Amazon, it would just be chef's kiss, perfect. Ryan Willie, the friendly badger, with another super chat.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Notre Dame versus Wisconsin at Lambeau in 2026.
Hey.
Monty claims Sankey said the Super League will happen. Sankey looks like he needs some Sanka coffee.
Whoa. Did I just hear you right? Did you just say Monty?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Hey, look. Really? You must be new to the channel. We don't really talk about that show because it's just clickbait.
Yeah, Monty says a lot of things. Monty's got to fill time, and
he has to fill 3 hours a day here in Salt Lake City, and believe me, that's not easy to do. So great, his success is all his, but we don't really reference anything that goes. There's a few shows that we don't reference, and that's one of them. So
yeah, he was not so friendly to Immaculate. So.
Well, no, whoa, he hasn't been friendly to anybody.
Well, that's true,
it's not just Immaculate. I think he's called out at one point or another, all four of us. So
he called me out, but I deserved it. So
well, I didn't deserve it, but I have a long memory. So
thank you for the super chat, Ryan. But yeah, don't put too much faith in what Monty says. He does have to fill quite a bit of time during the day.
Yep.
Completely understandable why he has to go to clickbait. Thank you again, Ryan. Much appreciated. Sky, will the Big have to add another? Oh, I already read this one.
Yep, you got that one.
Got another super chat coming in. Hot here.
Super chats. Let's go.
Gygax, Carry Go Knowles. Marshall outdrew SMU in football attendance, and Marshall isn't on too many expansion lists.
Wait a second. Say that Marshall did what?
They outdrew SMU.
Oh yeah, SMU last year had one game that was like 78,000 people watching it. Like the clicker that they normally use is digital. It goes into the tens of thousands. They couldn't even use the little clicker. They had to go to somebody with one of those time things from PE where he was counting how many kids ran through the door. That's what they were using to count people to watch their game.
SMU fans, please give us all that hate in the comments section.
I'm okay with it.
It boosts us in the algorithm. We appreciate it.
I'm okay with it.
Bobby Madden, good to see you, Bobby. Thinking 2 Pac pods, 2 Big West pods, 2 Big East pods, 2 ACC pods, if 8 pods of 3 are used with 24 teams.
That's a lot of math.
Yeah, that's.
Let me think that slow. 2 Pac pods, 2 East pods, 2 ACC pods of 8. 3 are used with 24 teams. I'm sorry, I still don't know what he's saying.
Maybe he's talking about Super League. You might have to clarify that for us, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby, we want to understand what you're saying. I've read it twice, and I don't understand.
Morris Simmons says Notre Dame and A&M is on the clock. Yeah, I personally think A&M at some point will jump over to the Big Ten. I know I'm in the minority of that. That's pure speculation on my part. I have no information on that whatsoever. No sources telling me that that's going to happen, but you know. The Beavers and Cougars should have just played each other 12 times with the championship game as the tiebreaker.
I saw that. That was a few people that said that in the offseason. I thought that was very creative.
That would guarantee him a spot in the playoff, right?
I don't know. I don't think
one of
so.
them just agreed to
one of them would just have to win every game. So let's say Oregon State won every one of those games. They're not a real conference, so no, it still wouldn't help them.
Yeah, it's one of them would have to take a knee. One of them would have to take a knee to get the other one ranked up there. But I think Oregon State probably wins.
Most of the time, I think
10
that's
out
true.
of the 12 games.
Yeah, so. Right. There at Washington State will get 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
3 maybe.
Bobby Madden again. If 8 pods of 3 used for 24, 2 Pac pods, 2 Big West pods, 2 Big East pods, 2 ACC pods, regardless of 9 or 10 conference games. Up to 2 or 3 protected rivals are also a good alternative. Okay. That could work. What's Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, and Stanford have in common? None of them are getting in the Big Ten.
Very
Thank
creative.
you so much, Tony.
Very creative tweet comments tonight.
That was an organic Georgia Tech too. So
Man, you got to take it. You got to take it.
Ooh. When the SEC, this is from Cougar Tracks, when the SEC and Big Ten start taking Big 12 teams, the conference will die just like the Pac and the ACC.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the problem is that those schools have to go somewhere, and it comes down to body count. So if you looked at Sam Bradshaw's breakdown last year of how many games are actually in every football season, and the ones that are going to go to the ESPN, ABC, Fox, FS1, you look at the whole chart, you need to have between 60 and 68 schools. So unless you're going to have 2 conferences with 32 teams in them, it doesn't make a lot of sense to get rid of that 3rd conference. So I just don't see the Big 12 going anywhere. I know I could be wrong, right?
No, I don't believe in Super League. I don't believe in Super League.
Yeah.
Keep chopping. Rutgers guy, another Rutgers guy. SEC just wants to be a regional conference. Nothing wrong with that other than falling behind the Big Ten moving forward. I agree. If they want to be, I mean, they're a regional conference that's won a shitload of national championships in football. Until the day that the Big Ten starts consistently winning national championships in football, the SEC is king.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's time to put up or shut up. Certainly they're loading for it. We'll have to see.
Almighty Finn says, until the ink dry on the contract, I'm holding out for the SEC, but Big Ten a good second prize as long as I'm out the ACC. Well, there you go. Can you imagine that getting to be a full member of the Big Ten, we're getting over $100 million a year in media revenue and a share of one of the biggest sports networks in America is a consolation prize?
No, I can't imagine that. No. I'm sure it might be in somebody's future, but I can't imagine it.
Dan Miter, it sounds to me like Clemson, FSU to Big Ten for now until other ACC teams get going on matters. Feels like Pac-12 all over again. I think it's going to move a lot quicker than the Pac-12 did.
Why do you think that? Let's talk about that one for a second. Why do you think it's going to go faster than Pac-12?
Because I think the media valuation is going to plummet as soon as Florida State and Clemson leave.
So there's this idea that there's not a settlement yet, right? Greg said once a settlement's done, those schools will be moving on. But we can't. The ACC's not out of cards. They're still out there playing poker. They're gonna fight this thing to the end in the courts. So I don't know that that's true. I don't know that they will necessarily be faster than the Pac-12 melted down in 18 months. The ACC's been melting down since last August. So they roughly have another 9-10 months to go. I don't know. 9-10 months. I don't know that happens.
Here's the thing. You've got the look-in 2027.
Yeah, but that's 2 years away. 3 years away.
Sure, but you saw it was drips and drabs from the Pac until the last minute, and then it was just kind of everybody fleeing the ship.
I'm talking about from the point that they knew they put out their media package for bid, which was July, the day after USC left.
Okay.
They put their media out for bid. It was a year and 3 months for that conference to die.
I'm going from the point of when they actually exit the conference. I'm going based off of when Colorado left, but
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe that math works out the same. All I know is the ACC isn't going anywhere until this legal stuff gets settled.
Yes. Sooner in Texas, explain how Kansas to the SEC is possible when Kansas football doesn't bring in the money. Kansas basketball is awesome, but is that enough to drive the dollars? It is if you get them at a partial share. If you get them at 35, 45, million for Greg Sankey. He wants to look at basketball schools like North Carolina and Virginia and shore up that basketball leg of the conference. For that, it makes sense. And they are within the contiguous footprint. So
And the word is that is absolutely what's happened. They don't need to shore up football anymore. The SEC needs no football ads. Sankey said it from the podium now for over a year. They're looking to do other things, and that other things is usually meeting basketball, right? So they're no rush to pick a Kansas up, but when they do, they don't need to get a big football win. They just got Texas and Oklahoma. No, except for Ohio State, nobody's bigger than Texas. So they don't need football wins. So I don't even think that's something that needs to be in the calculus. Just so everybody knows, you did the math, and Kansas has the #1 basketball brand in the United States. They're ahead of North Carolina. They're ahead of Duke. All these other schools are great, but Kansas is #1.
I am too busy.
That's a good name.
Are they going to rename the ACC as the American Coast Conference with the 2 Bay Area schools added? I suggested this as the All Coast Conference. Because with SMU, you can consider it part of the Gulf Coast.
Right,
So,
right.
keep chopping. Fox and ESPN have less of a need for the Big 12 as the Big and SEC continue to grow. Those time slots are getting precious. Will be interesting to see the next media deals.
It will. There's no doubt about it. It will be interesting to see.
Daniel Gygax, the only people to block me on Twitter were SMU fans. So thin-skinned when I point out how irrelevant their football attendance is. Yeah, some people have thin skin. Ryan Willie, if everything was the same as last year, would FSU get screwed again this year?
Yes.
Probably, yeah, because the SEC is not going to get left out.
That's right. Yeah.
Bobby Madden, I don't know if the Big Ten goes to 11 conference games. Certainly possible at 24 teams, but not with a 12-game regular season. Yeah, I don't see them going to 11.
Yeah, 11's too many. 10 is even a stretch. But 9 everybody should have to play 9.
Miami needs to pick up the phone. It's the Big 12 calling. Damn, people are cold-blooded tonight, man. I'm telling you.
Well, they've been sitting for a while on this information. We've been talking about it for a long time, right? We were waiting for something to break. Greg broke it today. Brett McMurphy broke it 2 days ago. So, actually last night.
If Big Ten goes, this is from Mr. Ed Weiner, if Big goes to 20 by adding Florida State and Clemson, does the SEC have to respond in kind with UNC? If so, is Miami off the table to SEC?
Maybe.
I don't think the SEC has any interest in Miami.
That's a fact.
Yeah. Miami might end up having to go to the Big 12, depending on what the Big Ten does. And remember, Miami voted to expand with SMU, California, and Stanford. So
they voted against their own interest for some reason, and nobody can understand why. Evidently, Miami didn't get the memo to go to trigonometry because this wasn't very difficult math. We knew it. We told the world back in July of last year that the math worked out, that there wasn't an auto fit there. So I said last August, I said it's Clemson or Miami. I know you think Clemson might go to the SEC if they get left out, but I think for sure Miami, if they don't go to the Big 10, they're going to the Big 12 or they're staying in the ACC, which would seem like it would be suicide to me unless Notre Dame joins.
Morris Simmons, Miami never on the SEC table. I agree with you. Sky, does the Big Ten need more basketball brands? The only brands added since growing from 10 members have been Maryland and UCLA. We just need a brand that can actually win a national championship. It's been over 20 years since we won a national championship in basketball. And that's with brands like Michigan State and Indiana. So, yeah, the Big Ten does need more. The Big Ten needs winning basketball brands, I should say. Matt, good to see you, Matt. I think Big Ten sits at 24 at the end and SEC at 20 to 22. Big 12 cleans up more TV markets by rebuilding the Big East.
Well, rebuilding in the East is what I would say, not rebuilding the Big East.
No, but I think he's talking about adding, West Virginia will be back in with
Right.
Pittsburgh and Syracuse.
But I don't think they do pick up a St. John's. I don't think they pick up a Villanova,
I
a
think
UConn. Realignment's football, baby.
Right. I think he's talking about when Big East had football.
Right.
When they were a football conference. I'm thinking Miami to the Big 12 might be possible unless they're packaged with Notre Dame to the Big 10. I agree. But Mullen and Nate. Mullen's not the worst thing I've been called. Kansas City at a half share to another conference is less than they're getting at a full share at the Big 12. Why would they leave at a half share? Because it guarantees you a spot in the Power 2.
And the exponential growth will be 10 times what it would be in the other conference. It's crazy not to do that move.
Yeah, I mean, you might get more peanuts and coach, but I would gladly take the upgrade to first class. Due to recruiting, Miami will never be in the SEC. I agree with that.
There was one in here. Oh, you're getting to it. Keep going.
Big Ten media partners aren't paying for dead weight because Notre Dame wants it. Notre Dame will be independent until they're forced to join the Big Ten. Then they will have no leverage. Pay Notre Dame $1.
Good luck with that.
You're right. Make Notre Dame pay the Big Ten $1.
Yeah.
Miami voted against FSU. Very good point. We were just talking about that.
When we still don't understand why.
Sorry, Nathan. The Big 12 might face the same fate as the PAC and ACC.
So tell me how that works, Ryan. Explain that to me. Do you want to come on the show and you can break it down so you can, get all your expression out, or you could just sort of detail it in the comment section. But I need somebody to tell me how the Big 12 becomes irrelevant once they pick up the best brands from the ACC. Somebody do that math for me, because I don't see it. There's not enough teams in the SEC and the Big 12. Sorry, Big 10 to sort of take over. Not enough teams. And there's not enough teams that are worth 100 million or even 50 million to bring into the Big 10 or the SEC to make it bigger. They have no reason to get bigger. Those two conferences, don't listen to the paranoia back east. The people that we all know that have been talking about it forever, they don't have any idea what they're talking about. They've been 0 for 3 years, and now they're starting this up again. Oh, the Big 12 is going to disappear. And why is it always the Big 12 they're saying is going to be disappearing? They're the only ones that have a survival instinct. So, Ryan, tell me, I need somebody to explain it to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I will put that out there. Somebody can prove it to me. I just don't know how.
Illini Ted, let's not forget that Notre Dame will be losing these two schools as part of potential games they schedule against ACC teams. You're correct, but they'll be gaining SMU and Cal. And they've got a special deal where they play Stanford every year as a non-conference. So, I mean, that seems pretty equal to me. Cal and SMU, Florida State and Clemson. Who knows? Syracuse, Pitt, West Virginia, Miami, BC, Louisville, Virginia Tech are all Big East teams. They were all Big East teams before that conference kind of imploded.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do the tale of the old conferences if you wanted to. That's a sad tale that goes back decades.
Don in Kansas says, if the Big and SEC only take 2 teams each, what's the possibility the Big 12 takes more than 4 new members from what's left of the ACC? Well, there you go. What's the possibility of the Big 12 going over 20?
To 24?
Over 20. We'll just say over 20.
Over 20. I just don't see because all the schools that are going to be left are the ones that are the best football brands. And so we already know the 4: Virginia Tech, Louisville, Pitt, and who am I missing?
North Carolina State.
Now, I will say this. If Miami falls to the Big 12, Then I could see you could go to a 21 or a 22 because you want to expand that much to get Miami. But the other 4 are around for rivalries and to shore up the base of the Big 12. So I think the 4 are a foregone conclusion. The only thing that might screw that math up is if Miami comes in. Other than that, Syracuse, UConn, these are all stretches in my mind. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Here's the thing. I don't think the ACC ceases to exist either.
No, they're not going to.
You might lose 4 to 6 teams, but I mean,
right.
There's ways that they can survive, backfilling through. Because I mean, as soon as Clemson and Florida State leave, they're immediately going to invite 2 more people to not fall below the 15th threshold.
The problem is the schools they'll bring in are going to be Oregon State and Washington State, or Oregon State and maybe Memphis.
Oregon State, Washington
USF,
State, Tulane, Memphis, USF.
Yeah. But are any of those schools going to cash checks? Are they going to bring any additional money into the conference or not?
But it will give them stability. Keep in mind that the Big 12 did add 3 G5s and an independent.
The times are different, though. We're not talking all G5s are not equal, and we're now at a point where we've gone down below the ones. SMU was the first stretch. Now, obviously, Washington State and Oregon State are not on that list, but all the other schools you just mentioned are below that list. They were never in the realignment picture until the big Pac-12 blew up. So they weren't in any conversation to bring those schools in until the Pac-12 ceased to exist. Then the top was off and they started coming up with these other ideas. Nobody can convince me that the ACC stays together maybe $15 million, $18 million once they lose their big brands, the big football brands. So
Antoine Codes, the Big 12 has to survive if there are not going to be super leagues. How are TV networks going to pay for super leagues if the media money is drying up?
Antoine's got it. That's exactly right. Money's going away. He has 100% right. That's exactly right.
And then Jim F says the Big 12 goes to Turner Sports next contract. Once venue sports takes off, a lot cheaper than paying for the NBA. That could work.
Big 12 goes Turner Sports. Oh, yeah, for sure. I think all bets are off for the next media deal. Absolutely. For one thing, ESPN and Fox might pull out completely from the Big 12. There's already a possibility they drop the ACC next February. So they could walk away in 30-31. Isn't that when they end, or 29-30 when the contract's over? And that is going to be picked up by somebody. Amazon, Apple, Turner. All bets are off for who's going to pick up that brand value. But yeah, it's possible Fox and ESPN could walk away from the Big 12. That's a possibility.
All right, guys, we're coming down the home stretch here. We're going to be about another 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes or so. We've got over 700 comments on the stream, guys. We're trying to get to as many of them as we can. From here on out, it's going to have to be a super chat if you want to make sure it gets read. Otherwise, we're going to defer as much as we can to member comments before we wrap up for the night.
Ryan's just getting back. I wanted to make sure we address this. Ryan, thank you so much for your comment. And by the way, I really enjoy the interaction. I look forward to looking at your comment, and we'll just go back and forth in the comments after the show. Really looking forward to having that conversation, though, because I've asked a lot of people to provide it, and you're really the only one that's willing to step up and sort of walk me through how that could look. So thank you so much for doing that. And we really, really appreciate you being a big supplier and viewer of our show, all of our shows. Ryan Willie's one of the OGs. If you didn't know, you know now.
Ryan always has great comments too.
Absolutely.
So. Me versus Echo Chamber. The Big 12 will survive as well as the ACC. What ACC team will pay $200 million to exit, only to make the approximate same amount in the Big 12? That makes no sense at all.
But they won't. It's a zero-sum game. I don't understand how else we need to do a better job of communicating this, Moen, because we say it over.
I'll tell you what,
it doesn't work.
Echo Chamber, what you need to do is after our show tonight, go to our homepage, watch the Big 12 Mafia show we did on the media evaluation once Florida State and Clemson leave the ACC.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because in 2027, ESPN can look in, and they're not going to pay the ACC the same amount of money.
In fact, let me see if I can find that video. I'll just post it, and everybody can go watch it. Go ahead. Keep going.
we really need to cut that up too and make that
We
a
do,
short.
because that one is probably the best show to explain all these things that we've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I'll have to do that after the show.
You can ask.
Or
You can ask.
tomorrow.
You can ask. Also,
Rock
Rock
and
help
Rant.
as well.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm gonna find
But
this.
yeah,
show.
that'd be the greatest way for you to look at it is how much value Clemson and Florida State actually bring to the ACC and how much value they lose when those teams leave. And ESPN does have that look in 2027. We know that. So they could very well adjust down, and it could be a significant impact.
There you go.
The other reason I would put in there is because stability.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I just posted the link, by the way.
All right. Yep.
To that show.
Go Black. SEC will schedule as many games with Notre Dame for the next decade just to keep them out of the Big Ten. Please, please, please do that. Please.
We
will
need
the
to do
Big 12 if they need to.
We haven't done a show on Notre Dame in a while. We ought to do one because I'm not sure the SEC wants Notre Dame on their schedule.
I'm sure Notre Dame doesn't want the SEC on theirs.
I could see them doing a partnership if the ACC disappears. I could see them doing something with the Big 12 to stay independent, keep their full voting rights. I could see that. It's not their ideal, but it's better than dying in the ACC.
Big 12 is adding schools like Cincy and Houston. Wouldn't be shocked if they double dip at the G6 level down the road.
Nope. Not going to happen.
Arizona Buckeye 96. 96. That was a great year for the Buckeyes. I think the only thing that will bring Notre Dame is the Big Ten going to 10 conference games and forcing USC to abandon the rivalry game. It also reduces inventory for Notre Dame overall. You're absolutely right. And that's exactly what the Big Ten should do.
Great comments tonight, Moen.
Yeah, I mean, no, we've had 700 plus comments.
That's incredible.
And fantastic. Sooner in Texas. Sorry, I was at the bottom of my class. Is Kansas to the SEC basketball only deal? If so, your mark has big plans for Big 12 basketball. Could the SEC even have a chance at Kansas? They could have a chance at them, absolutely.
It's not basketball only. If you said that,
yes,
it's all sports. We're just saying that the value they bring is going to be on the basketball side. That's all we're saying.
Illini Ted, could the Big 12 jump to the Big 24 and have a West Big 12 division and East Big 12 division after adding all the PAC schools? If they get a lot of ACC, they could have a pretty noticeable East and West.
Yeah.
True enough.
Yeah.
But that, again, I would think you would have to move Iowa State out east. And
yeah, I don't like that at all.
Probably Kansas and Kansas State out east as well.
Could it happen? Absolutely. You asked an open-ended question. There's a possibility, sure. But not a probability, I don't think. What's this?
Daniel Gygax says number 22 is a tech school in Atlanta if Miami is in the Big 12.
Wow.
See, that's a stretch, I think.
Wow, Georgia Tech. That would be crazy if that happened.
Yeah. According to ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, that's not the case. He said it's a look-in where ESPN can't reduce the contract for what that's worth. It's an option, though. ESPN could say,
"Yeah, next year is the option in or out."
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with look-in.
Here's our new deal: take it or leave it. And there's not going to be anybody who's going to compete with them.
You know, this term look-in came from the college football playoff negotiations of Brett Yormark, putting that in there, looking ahead to a time when the ACC might not exist. He wanted to be able to get more money for the Big 12. That's where that came from. Bob Thompson told us look-ins have been in TV media contracts for decades, so it's not new. But don't get it twisted. Two different things happen with the SEC. Next year, in February of 2025, ESPN has an option to either extend the contract past 27 or to leave the ACC hanging after 2027. It's not a look-in. It's an option to either stay or go. It's a black and white question. They can renegotiate, and there's other things they can do. But if Florida State and Clemson are gone before that negotiation happens, the ACC is crippled because their value is going to be 10 million, 12, 15 million. It's going to be ugly.
Me versus Echo Chamber. I'm new here, but I like you guys. I don't agree with BYU guys, but I can follow his logic. Yes. Wait, you'll find out. We disagree with each other, and we can disagree without being disagreeable.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Except, I mean, even with each other. Although sometimes when you and Nate really get fired up with each other, they can't be disagreeable.
Hey, look, that's the heart and soul of the show. All right. People like us because we're real people. We don't do fakery stuff.
After FSU and Clemson leave, what is the top end of the ACC versus the Big 12?
The top end is North Carolina.
And Miami.
Yeah, if Miami stays and
Yeah.
doesn't go. It'd be North Carolina and Miami would be the two brands. If you're talking about brands. And the same question for the Big 12. There's like 8 schools you could say carry the same value as those 2 others. So
Replica, ESPN either picks up the duration of the contract through 2036,
yep,
or it ends in 2027.
That's what
if they decline the option, they would have to negotiate a new contract with the ACC. Also means the ACC grant of rights ends in 27.
Yeah, thank you, Replica. That's what I was trying to say. If it didn't come across, Replica's got it right. It's exactly right.
Get to just a couple more comments here. Mr. Monkey says, Sooner in Texas, it's all negotiable. Sankey is looking to ensure SEC is king of basketball and football. He, like your mark, keeps hitting basketball is undervalued.
I think it is. You know why I would say it's undervalued? Because more teams can participate. Cinderella is real in basketball. Cinderella has been dead for decades in football. Probably since BYU won the national championship. So that's a long time. So it's totally true. You're exactly right. It is.
Super chat from me versus Echo Chamber. Here are my new guy dues.
Thank you very much, Echo Chamber.
If you're new here, you don't have to pay us, but it's greatly appreciated.
Very much.
Let me run down. You go ahead and run down the schedule of when we do our live shows throughout the week.
Absolutely. Let me get the banner going so everybody can see it. So
there you go.
Tomorrow night is our is it tomorrow night? What night is tonight?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I thought it was Thursday tonight. Okay, on Friday night we have a show called Big Freaking Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be me, you, Moen, and whoever else we decide to have on the show with us, and it's just a party. We have a lot of fun, and we try to do interaction with you guys as much as we can. Sunday night is Moen After Dark. That's Moen and a guest. It's been Rock and Rant recently. That again is at 8 Eastern. Monday is Big West Mafia. That's Sergeant Pickles and Becky Go Huskies. And that's Big Ten West, basically. And that's a fun show. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then we come full circle with Tuesday and Wednesday nights. We do something at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I would just say each show's a little variable. The one on Tuesday, we try to fashion around the Big 12 because Ute and I are both Big 12 people. But we cover all of college football.
So if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed and make sure your notifications are turned on. That way, just in case you forget that little rundown, you'll always be notified when we go live, and we encourage everybody to come in here and give us your comments and your questions. Ryan Willie says, if UNC stays, very good point, Ryan. I don't think they're going to stay. They've got some legal entanglements with the Wolfpack backpack, but I think once those come out, UNC is probably in the SEC.
Moen, bring up our tags really quick. I wanted to remind everybody where to find us on Twitter.
There
we go.
There we go.
These are our Twitter handles, everybody. Make sure you're following us all on Twitter, including the Wild Ute. Follow him on Twitter as well. And we love interacting with you guys. This is a social experiment that we're doing, and we get our show ideas from you. We get our argument ideas from you. So come be a part of the thing. And we also have a Discord channel. The Discord link is under it's in the descriptor for the YouTube video.
In the description, I'll go ahead and post it in the chat as well.
That would be great. We have 24/7 talking college football. Rock and Rant is our main moderator there. We have some other guys, Line Ted. Kev is also a moderator. So we invite everybody to join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We got 150 people watching us live. New audience tonight. Make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and turn on those notifications on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when our next show's up.
Me versus Echo Chamber says entertaining for sure. We try to. We try. We try.
There's 3 more comments. Try to get
yep.
all those.
Great show tonight. Thank you, Scrap and Wolf. Much appreciated, sir.
Thank you.
There's actually another one I want you to highlight. Highlight that Mystery Man one.
Mystery what? Which one?
Mr. E Man.
Oh, where's he at?
It's near the bottom. Y'all from Timothy Green, y'all always have a great show, guest, and content. Thank you very much.
This one right here?
Yep. We'll get to that at the end.
Sorry. I didn't know what you were doing. Keep going.
SEC makes less money because ESPN also has them in a long-term deal. SEC was lucky CBS had their game of the week and it came back up for renegotiation. True that. And Mystery Man. Wasn't Texas originally rumored to go to the Big Ten? Actually, speaking of which, debuting this Friday in our members only section, my episode of Timeline, the Pacific Powerhouse. What would have happened if Texas and Oklahoma had went to the Pac-10 at the time when that deal was first started? That was originally where Texas and Oklahoma might have wound up, was the Pac. Before the Big Ten rumors, there was the Pac rumors. And where those rumors were, there was smoke. Larry Scott was getting his presidents ready for it. So definitely tune in on Friday. I'm going to put that video up. We might do a premiere of it before the big freaking Friday show. So definitely check that out if you're into conference histories and alternative timelines and all the interesting stuff like that. All right, Nathan, do you have anything else you want to say before we take her out?
Shout out really quick. Kerry Go Knowles, thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for spending some time with us on Wednesday night. Jeff Fuller comes in right when we're closing the door. Jeff, it's so good to see you. Thanks for all your analysis. You need to answer that. Get into that chat I created with you, me, Sam Bradshaw, and you. Let's start that conversation. I'd really like to do that breakdown if that seems interesting to you. So we can talk on Twitter. But it's good to see you, Jeff. And then our favorite name that I just have a hard time saying.
Mosito
X says SEC makes money because ESPN also has them in a long-term deal. SEC was lucky CBS had their game of the week. Oh, you read this already. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got that one.
Anyway, we're done then.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody who came out and supported. The super chats were fantastic tonight. The new members, I want to thank the new members who came along. And thank everybody for all the great comments. We ended up with over 800 comments, guys. Wow, fantastic. Huge news. Looks like Florida State Clemson to the Big Ten. Let's see what happens. Until then, we will see you guys on Friday night, and peace out.
Peace.